am so sorry, ladies.
Did I miss something?
No, I think all three of us missed it.
Right.
Okay.
Our face is showing confusion.
He said we're
That's
in
because
our
it is.
private studio. Ruth was like, and how would we know that? I didn't. I have no idea, but it's always good to start the evening with a laugh. Laughter is good medicine. We can't
Right.
waste
Okay.
our let our viewers in on the fun. But I tell you what, we have a way to be so knowledgeable and so clueless at the same time. But it's going to be a wonderful evening and it's going to be a great show. And I tell you what, our guest coming on tonight, she is, you know how we always say, make that statement, I don't look like what I've been through.
Amen.
But she is absolutely beautiful. She is a beautiful lady and she has a good story. She has a good story to tell. So we're excited to be able to introduce her to everybody tonight. And I think we've got everything set up that we want to have.
Yeah,
Ruth,
we're ready.
you're going to go first this evening with the weekend
Sure.
review. And maybe while we're on break, we can find out about this, this studio that we. Victoria said, "No, we're not gonna find that out." Okay, Victoria, you're gonna go next, and I will go last, and then we will. Well, Victoria will read our guest bio, and we'll get ready to bring her in
You're ready.
so that everybody can meet her. She's really, really a sweet lady. I can already tell she really is.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that, and I think that's all
That is all.
that we need to. We need to go over. Before we started tonight. We always do that, and that felt good. That felt very, very good. So, Alan, if you are out there, sir, we are ready to turn things over to you, so that you can hit that button you need to hit, and we can go ahead and get started.
He's welcome to
I'm
come in our
sorry.
studio. He's welcome
Alan
in our
has
studio.
left the building.
Come on back in the studio, Alan. Come on.
No, I will say this because of the significant growth of ALH and the work that you folks have done, you are now in a private studio all of your own.
Ooh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right.
That's
Well,
good.
come on in the room.
All right, so now let me get out of your way so you can continue to do what you do.
All
Talk to you
righty,
later.
sir. Thank you.
Woo.
Evening, everybody. Welcome to Authors Up, your favorite place to be on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. And we've already got some of our favorite people popping in already. Good evening to you, Lynn. Glad to have you in the house this evening. And there is Nikayetta. Good evening to you, lady. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Yes.
And of course, my wonderful, wonderful co-host, there is Ruth Griffin. Good evening, Ruth.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. I can't get any better right now. It'd be illegal.
Amen.
Hello,
I
dear
like that.
Victoria.
Illegal.
How are you? How are
I'm
you?
wonderful.
You wonderful?
Wonderful.
Good for you. Good for you. And you are you are getting ready next week, and next week will be your second program, won't it be?
Yep,
Fourth,
yep.
yep, second and fourth Monday, Living Life Victoriously with your host, Victoria E. Henderson. And it was a wonderful, wonderful first show that you had. And I'm looking forward to this next episode that you've got coming up. And there's our South Carolina connection is on the line. Hey there, Angie Oliphant. Glad to have you. We welcome you this evening. And yep, we got you, Lynn. I'm glad that you were able to pop in. Everybody's coming in. Let's see. Let's get started as we usually do with our week in review. And Ruth, we're going to let you start off tonight.
All right. Well, I also want to include welcome to everyone who is joining us via podcast or YouTube or anywhere else you are listening from or watching from. We are happy to have you.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
week in review. My week started off with a visit to the orthopedic who said, "Oh, your foot looks great. Bone is healing. You can take the shoe off. Just don't wear heels," which hasn't been an issue now for about 2 Well, yeah, no. And then I started walking on it the next day and it hurt. So
Oh.
I have never broken anything before, so I didn't know what my expectation was, except she said, "Don't start running, just do low impact." And I was like, "All right, cool." And then yesterday I was like, well, I do, I keep track of my fitness on Fitbit, and you see that, your exercise has been zero for the last, 6 weeks. And I thought, I can at least go walking. So I have this route in my neighborhood, 3 miles, and I'm like, I can do that. No worries. But my second mile, I was like already ready to call my husband, tell him to come pick me up because it was just bad.
I'm
Um,
so sorry.
it is what it is. So everything has it's my foot is okay. I have to call the doctor tomorrow to ask the questions that I didn't ask last week.
Okay,
So,
okay.
um, I figure it's just probably more time. I mean, if I was healing okay, and again, I have to start saying this, I'm almost 50 now, so I have to take that into consideration
Okay.
with bones and stuff like that. So, um,
You don't
it's
think you
just
did
part
too
of the
much?
process. What's that?
You don't think you did too much?
Apparently, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It just, but I'm also, I hate to say it, but I'm also older. I'm not going to bounce back like I did when I was 25. So
Right.
that's part of it. So yeah, so
Have
that's
you
my
gotten
week.
your stuff from AARP yet?
Uh, so I got my husband when my husband hit 50. They were like, "Well, Ruth, come on in." And I'm
Right.
like,
You could get two for
"Hey."
the same, the price. Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't gotten mine yet, but the sad part is that when those magazines come in, I go, "Ooh, well, that looks interesting. I should read that." So
Some
You
of it is really
got
interesting.
it is.
You've had
It
a
is. And then when you see the people on the covers, you're like, "Oh, dang, they are 50 plus." So
Right.
we all getting
There's some
older
good
together.
articles.
Everybody's getting older. You're not alone.
Not,
No.
not even almost.
Yeah, so I'll let you know what my doctor says. I'm sure she'll say, "Oh, just put your foot up, ice it, and
You'll be fine.
don't walk." So that
As
was
long as
my
she
week.
doesn't say booted it back up again, we good.
No, and that's the thing, because I kept thinking maybe I should, but I'm like, at some point, I am going to have to learn how to walk without it.
Right.
Got you. What's
Don't-
up with you, Victoria?
Well,
Yeah.
as you said, I did my premiere show last Monday on the 14th, and I was so excited. And I'm hopeful that, and I'm not hopeful. I know the nervousness will go away the more I do it, the more easy it'll become. I already got some things in my head that I want to do each time that they just kind of float out my mouth, and I'm just gonna make them be staples of each show. And so it was good. It was a good experience. I got off and cried.
Of course.
I held it together till we got off, and I was like, "Oh my God, I just did that! I did it! It's a reality now, So it's been good. It's been good. I've been feeling really good about it, and I'm excited. Still excited. And then I slid right on into my 59th birthday on Friday. And God has just been blessing me. It was I won't say I won't say sad. I won't say melancholy. I won't say I've been reflective. I've been reflective. And just thanking God for his goodness. And I'm grateful that I made 59, grateful for all the people that celebrated me through texts and calls. Got a couple of cash apps and unexpected. You know, I was just like, oh my God. And my girlfriend in Florida, she called me and had her grandbaby sing happy birthday to me. Just the sweetest thing.
That's sweet.
Oh.
And I cried for that too. So y'all know I cried a drop of a hat. But it was just the celebration was what I needed. And so I've had a restful weekend, a wonderful church service this morning, and just basking in the love and ending up the weekend on Authors Up, doing what I love to do. It's just been a good time. So I'm just grateful. That's the word for this year. Grateful.
Grateful.
And
Grateful.
so that was my week. I'm just grateful.
I like that.
What about you?
I don't have any profound news. I don't have any checkpoints. I don't have anything. I am just like the grandma on the cruise that comes out of the cave going, still alive. That's where I am, still alive. And I'm glad about it.
Well, you look good, Grandma.
Anything else that comes along with that is just gravy. It's just gravy. So I'm good. I'm grateful, as you said. I have a speaking engagement coming up next month. So
Okay.
I will be talking to you all and tapping into your wisdom and all that good stuff as I go forward with that. All in all, Jesus is Lord. All is well. I'm good.
All right now. All right.
And we have a young lady with us tonight.
Yes.
I cannot wait. So I am going to stop talking and turn this over to Victoria so she can tell you a little bit about our guest tonight.
All right. Tonight we have with us Erica K. Wolf, who was born and raised in East Liverpool, Ohio, and graduated from Kent State University. She is an advocate for the empowerment of women, and through her speaking engagement, focuses on topics about changing careers and being fluid in change. She also focuses on health and wellness topics and the power of self-advocacy. As a mother and a wife, and she's a mother of 2 children, Erica knew after being diagnosed with an advanced form of breast cancer that she had to do everything in her power to find a path to recovery. This year, she released her book, Cancer and Other Things I'm Grateful For: How Self-Advocacy and Integrative Medicine Led to Holistic Healing. Erica says she believes that words have power and that the stories we tell ourselves leave an imprint. She currently lives in Colorado with her husband and 2 dogs, where she works remotely as a digital marketing director. She moved there recently to be closer to her son and her daughter. Well, we're going to take a quick break right here. And when we'll come back, we will meet beautiful guest Erica K. Wolf. We'll be right back.
All right.
Hi, Erica.
Welcome.
Hello, ladies. Good evening.
Welcome.
Good evening. We are so happy to have you on our show tonight.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Of course. All right. So we are going to start with the title of your book. because I'll be honest, that's what grabbed me. That's not usually something that we're grateful for, but you made that front and center of your story. So tell us about your book.
So the title was something that I chose because I wanted to invite people to have an opportunity to look at cancer in a different light.
Mhm.
I think that you're very right. We often don't look at major life challenges as something to be grateful for or opportunities.
Mhm.
But when I was first diagnosed and I started seeing a therapist and really diving into, the mental aspect of getting through this, getting my mind really wrapped around it, I quickly realized that there was so much I was learning about myself, about other people, about the disease, about the process. And there was so much to be learned and gained. And I was going to grow as a person if I chose that I wanted to accept this and really get more out of it than more than just becoming disease free.
Mhm.
And so my therapist said to me, Erica, if you can find a way to look at this as something you chose, because she said you do all kinds of hard things in your life that you choose. You've chosen to become a mother. You've chosen to move. You've chosen different careers. She said, and those are hard life challenges. So what if you look at this as something you chose and you don't always have to overcome this obstacle before the next step? It's just the next step. And not that it was easy to do, and not that it was always right there, because we're all human and make backslides and one step, two steps forward, one step back sort of thing. And but because I felt like I could always come back to the practice of gratitude, it was always there for me, and it was something that I could integrate whenever I realized I was sliding off a path. And it simply became, at times, second nature to think, okay, this isn't good, but what do I have that is good? What's already here? And we don't have to search or grasp for that, really. It's already there. I don't think we have to really go excavating for what do I have to be grateful for, because most of us really have a lot. And I definitely did. I had a wonderful care group, my family, my doctors, my friends. Just having a roof over my head and a bed to lie in and a place to recover was enough to cause me to feel gratitude. And so I think that it was those small things that really started to add up to a bigger picture of gratitude for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I have my little list of questions here, but I'm going to jump ahead to one of the maybe ones because this struck me as I was reading it. It's closer to the end of your journey, and you're talking about coming out of a yoga class, and one lady comes up to you and says, what was it? Except, she was pointing out dealing with hard times, and she says, except maybe you always have that smile plastered on your face.
Mhm.
And you said you realized that that comment was about her, that what she said is true. I come to yoga smiling and leave yoga smiling,
Mhm.
and so if this lady is looking for something to judge me about, and the worst she can come up with is that I am always smiling, that's her issue, not mine. I read that and I was just like, that is, I love that. But and I think that comes up with, another one of my questions is just, how much of this was already in you? How much did you have to learn? How much did you walk away, you
Mm.
know, having to say, okay, this is now me?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. My nature is to tackle things.
I'm sorry, repeat that again.
I'm sorry.
Can you repeat that? You kind of went out.
Oh, yeah. My nature is to tackle things head on.
Okay.
If I work hard enough, it will happen. sort of
Mhm.
thing. That's always been sort of my mentality is, you know, do this enough, do this hard enough, whatever it is, long enough, it's going to happen. And so this was one of the first real times in my life where the outcome was completely out of my hands.
Mhm.
And that was a big deal for me. From that perspective, there was a lot for me to learn and a lot that I had to sort of come to grips with is that, I can decide to choose the best team of doctors. I can have all the support that I want. But in the end, how my body responds to the chemo and to the surgery and to the radiation and all of those things, that was something that was largely out of my hands, and that was new. Um, I think that as far as a mindset goes about feeling like I had some effect on it, that I don't think was entirely new for me.
Mhm.
Because, like I said before, I always felt like enough of my own hard work and energy and effort, if it goes into something, I feel like I can make it a positive outcome. So while I knew that there were aspects that I just had to like let go of, my therapist said to me, Erica, you cannot grasp a handful of water.
Mhm.
Right? And so she said, you have to open up your hands and allow them to be the vessel for what is meant for you.
Wow.
And that's imagery that is, it's stuck with me, and it to this day, and I think it will for the rest of my life, that you can't grasp a fistful of water. You have to open up. You have to let go of this. People say, let it go. Well, it's not let go of the things that you're capable of handling. It's not let go, just, oh, forget about it. It's being able to not trying to control things that are out of your control. I think that it might have been Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk, who says, do the work and then step back.
Mhm.
And that was something that I really did have to learn, because I've always been, well, no, you do the work and then you do more work and then you do more work. And
Yep.
that's how things
Guilty.
happen. Yeah,
Yep.
I think a lot of us type A ladies get that mindset. But yeah, that was a big change for me, to have to be okay. Find a way to be comfortable in a very uncomfortable situation.
Mhm. Mm. That's awesome. All right. So let's talk about your blog. What made you decide to begin blogging your process? What
Yeah.
you were going through.
So the blog was interesting because right away when I was diagnosed, I have a very large family. I'm from a family of 9. I'm the youngest. I have a lot of cousins. I have friends all over the world. And I wanted to tell everyone, I wanted to give everyone the insight. They wanted to give me advice
Mhm.
and all of these things. And I just didn't have the energy to be able to reach out. I was losing my voice, literally, trying to keep up with phone calls and forgetting to call people back and feeling guilty. So I thought, you know what? Maybe I should just write a blog. I don't know if anybody will read it, but it's at least there for information. And I can put this all down in words, and then it's out there, and I'll just be like, hey, everybody, read this, and you'll have an update. And so that's how it really started. And that's where, I did just start to put out the details. I met with a
Mhm.
doctor. Here's where we are. This is the diagnosis, all the facts. And then I quickly realized that it was becoming so much more than that for me. It was a way to really process. And I would start to write something and realize that I didn't know I was feeling what I was feeling until I would go to put it in words.
Mhm.
And so I think that the blog became this unique outlet for me where I was writing. And of course, once you hit save and send, it goes out to the world. So it's as public as can be. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it was very private and personal. I didn't even know if anyone was reading it. So it was this both public and private at the same time. It was both very present. But I also thought, you know what? I would go back and read things from a year ago, and I'd be like, dang, girl, you've come a long way. So it was great to have that aspect of it too, because it was really helping me preserve my memories of something that I wanted to know and remember. But it's all such a blur sometimes. But that the blog really helped me in that way. And I think that it helped other people. And that's why I decided to make a book from this process. Because I heard from people who would say, like, hey, my sister's about to undergo this. Could I send your blog link?
Yeah.
Or, you know, whoever it is. There's far too many people out there who are dealing with cancer of some kind, who have said, this was helpful to me. Can I pass it along? You know, or have said, you should write a book. People would love to hear this kind of thing. So, you know, I think that because people were getting something beneficial out of it, it just made me want to even more share these things so that people could find something positive, more than just my own survivorship.
Okay. So, I mean, and that was, because I think your blog started, what, in 2014?
2014.
Yeah, so that's almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I was writing that blog all the way up until the book was published, and then I
Okay.
had to delete it because you know, the blog, I had all kinds of information in there, personal names, brand names, and then they were like, yeah, we can't have that out there. So I had to get rid of it.
Okay. Now, please share the title of your blog.
The blog was called Blog About My Boobs.
I love it. I love it. Now, you also stated that it was less about your boobs than it was your journey.
I mean, if I knew how little it was actually going to be about my boobs, I never would have called it that. Because in the end, you know, just the organ that's affected, no matter what kind of cancer you have or what kind of disease you're dealing with, it's really, you know, yes, it's about that, but it was about so much more. And, you know, the subtitle explains too, I wanted to heal holistically. I didn't just want to be rid of this organ with this disease. I wanted to heal in body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
And so for me, yes, I would have probably called it something differently had I known. But that's part of the evolution.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is, you wanted to be, that's what I wanted to say. You wanted to be whole,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just, I think that is, you know, regardless of whether that is cancer or, you know, for myself, bipolar or anything else, you want that wholeness in your, you know, in who you are. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to hand you over to Andrea now for her questions.
Erica, I wanted to ask you just a couple of things. What was your first, I won't say your first response, but what was the first thing that went through your mind when you got your diagnosis that may have helped you, or I will say, how did it help you bridge over into what you call radical acceptance?
I think for me, I knew in my heart about 2 months before the doctors diagnosed my cancer that it was cancer. And I had time, bit by bit, to digest the possibility because, you know, I felt a pain in yoga class, sent me to my doctor, she felt alone. But, and as it went on, it was appointment after appointment after appointment. And with each appointment, it became more clear that this was serious, there was something wrong, and we just needed to keep doing more and more and more tests until the final one was a biopsy where it came back that it was positive for carcinoma. So I think that the very first time I realized I was alone in a room with the thermogram technician, and she's not allowed to diagnose. She basically shows me the scans and says, this is what we would see in breast tissue that isn't experiencing a problem, and here's what we're seeing in breast tissue that does. Now let's look at your scans. And she put mine up, and we just sat there in silence for a minute. And to myself, I said, wow, I really do have cancer. I really do.
Yeah.
And so that was probably early November. So it was a whole other month before I got absolute, a definitive answer. So I think that accepting this was a process. And I had the time between when I thought so, I really, really thought so, and the doctor said so, to wrap my mind around it. So, at the time it was excruciating. At the time I was like, oh my goodness, how much longer do I have to wait for the go sign? Like I said before, I was like, I've wanted to start seeing a doctor. I wanted to get this taken care of. I wanted to start treatment, but they kept having to be more and more and more, investigative about what kind and all of the different things. And I just wanted to know and go with it. So at the time that was really hard. But in retrospect, I think that time gave me space to accept and plan. And I don't know, in some ways realize that, like, okay, you have known this or thought this for a while, and you're still here. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to be aggressive because the cancer's being aggressive, but you're still here.
Yeah.
So cool it. And, we've got time to get things right, get things in order, get the doctors lined up and figure out all the things that need to happen. But I think that it was, I had the grace of that time to wrap my mind around it. Maybe not everybody gets that. Maybe people go in and like within a few days and it's hard to digest, but so I feel lucky that I had that opportunity.
That's that place of gratitude that you talk about. There's a quote here that I like, not just because of your situation, but just period. It's something that I want to, I'd like to have engraved over wherever I look up, I can see this quote and I know it's going to be okay. But she said, even when we're disappointed that something didn't turn out how we wanted it to at one point, it doesn't mean that that's the wrong path.
Right.
There's a reason, no matter how painful or disappointing. Sometimes I get to know the answer, sometimes I don't. Either way, there is a reason. And that's what I want to look at that every morning. Either way, there is a reason. Because I think it is so easy for us to get swallowed up in those things that are marathons rather than sprints. And that's what you said this journey has been. It's a marathon rather than a sprint. But I know that you came away with some lessons.
Yeah.
And though there are some things that you share in your own way, because it may not be by a podcast, it may be something that happens in the yoga studio. It could be any of those things. But give me just one lesson that you think was the most or one of the most important that you took away from this?
Oh, I think it would be self-love,
Wow.
because I've always been a suck it up kind of person. Suck it up, buttercup. Everybody goes through things. Somebody out there's got it worse. All those thoughts that would go through my head. Deal with this. You can do it. That sort of thing. And throughout my treatment, it wasn't just my therapist, and it wasn't just my care team, but like everyone around me was like, you have to give yourself a break, and not just a break from the thinking, but like a physical break from the treatments. Take time for yourself, those kinds of things, because it's like the oxygen mask on an airplane analogy,
Mhm.
right? If you don't put your own oxygen mask on first, how can you help anyone else? And so I learned to take that time for me, give my body what it needed, turn inward and ask my body what it needed, and really listen, maybe for the first time, to what my body was telling me that it needed to get through this. And often it was that it needed downtime, it needed relaxation, it needed, because I'm always like, well, I can exercise this out of me, I can whatever, that wasn't going to be this case. That wasn't going to happen this time. And so I think that was the biggest thing that I realized is, I have to love myself enough to give me what I need so that I can do the things I want to do and help the other people that I want to.
Yeah. And that, I think it's self advocacy, I think was the term
Yep.
that you used in your book. And
Yep.
it's so that's so important wherever you are,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, because there are so many challenges
Mhm.
that we face. It doesn't have to be just cancer,
No.
a cancer diagnosis. And I think that's another thing about your book that is very telling and revealing, is it doesn't have to be cancer. This is, Victoria, when you talk about get the book, don't
Yes.
do it just because you have got a diagnosis of cancer or you know someone who has. This is a wonderful survival mechanism.
Right.
And I think it's just a wonderful blueprint and a roadmap that when you are facing these challenges and seeing things happen that you don't understand and going through things at a time that does not make any sense, you can put that phrase up on your refrigerator and say, either way, there is a reason. Either way, there is a reason. And I'm going to let you go over to Victoria with that, because I wanted to get into an expression that I love is your cranial prosthesis. Your journey,
Yes.
big journey, which we can, many of us can understand the importance of your cranial prosthesis.
My cranial prosthesis. Crazy.
Please go ahead with that. Go ahead with that. What does that mean?
You tell him, Erica. Tell him about it.
My doctor wrote me a prescription for a cranial prosthesis, also known as a wig. So why do they take the simplest 3-letter word and turn it into something that I have to define for people? I'm on the phone with the insurance company, and I just want to say wig. And they're like, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing the code. And I'm like, cranial prosthesis? They're like, oh. So yeah, it was a simple thing, and I mean, I had to get a kick out of it because it was kind of ridiculous, but
That's funny. That is funny. Well, I absolutely love your book. Everybody knows, I say this like every week because we have good books. Get the book. Get the book. Get the book. I wish when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and everything I've had to go through since then that I had a book such as yours that would have given me hope. And and everybody, like I said, knows I love a victory story, and your book screams victory from beginning to end because you have chosen not to give in to defeat, and that comes through every page. It absolutely does. I mean, it's just an amazing story, your journey, your holistic approach. Can you talk a little bit about what you did in your holistic approach? And what I'm going to say prior to that is that I know personally some people who have succumbed to breast cancer. And so reading your book was a little tough for me. And my mother also has 2 forms of cancer. It's not breast cancer, but she has been dealing with 2 types of cancer. And she's been going through her chemotherapy and radiation. And she just recently in June was able to ring the bell for her last treatment. So it's been a journey. And I'm telling you, I wish that I had a book like yours to have put in her hand as soon as we got the diagnosis, that it would have given her, but she's just, that's a whole nother show right there, my mom. But I wish I had known about some of these holistic approaches. So what did you use, and what did you feel worked for you?
Okay. So first, I just want to touch very quickly on the point that you're making about this being a hard topic. I just want people to understand that I'm not naive about cancer. Tomorrow is the 21st anniversary of the death of my husband's mother. She had pancreatic cancer, and she passed away 21 years ago tomorrow. And so I get it. I understand. I will say, and my own mom right now is dealing with cancer as well. She's 91, almost 92 years old, and she also is dealing with cancer.
Wow. My mom will be 90 in October.
And so I get it. But I don't think that you have to have completely 100% positive results to still find gratitude in the journey.
Amen.
I didn't know when I decided that I was going to adopt an attitude of gratitude, that what my outcome was going to be.
Right.
I was stage 3. They told me it was aggressive. They told me it was locally advanced. It was in my lymph nodes. I had to have a lymphadenectomy, radiation, all of the things. And I didn't know what that outcome was going to be at the beginning, but that didn't stop me from still finding that. And I feel like it builds on itself. That the more you feel gratitude, the more gratitude that comes into your life, and the more things you have to be grateful for. And so I think that no matter what a person's outcome is, there can be real gratitude in the journey itself.
Amen. I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Very good. Very good.
And as far as the holistic treatments go, so I talked to a Holistic Nurses Association, and I enumerated them all. So I know there were 16 of them.
Wow.
I'm going to talk about all 16 right now. I'll just give you some highlights. Because, so I'll say like this, through chemo, the things that really helped me were acupuncture, and Chinese herbs, and nutrition supplements. The acupuncture is good for balancing your energy. And, when you're going through something like chemo, so for me, I tend to be like a very fiery individual. And it was Denver, so it was like hot and dry. And I had a lot of heat in my body. And so it was important for me to balance the heat and the cool within my body. The Chinese herbs helped with that as well. And then the nutrition supplements, just because you don't have necessarily always a real strong appetite, and I needed to make sure I was keeping all that going. So those were the things during that period that were really helpful. moving on into my mastectomy period, what was really helpful for me there was all of the hands-on treatment, because I think a lot of people think about when you get a mastectomy, oh, well, they're breasts, they're external. You just lop them off and go on. And that's not at all how it works. Your whole torso is affected. You're not allowed to move your arms like this or reach out. There's a lot of ways that you're very limited for a while. So for me, it was having these therapists who, helped me get back my mobility and my strength and stability and all those things. That was really, really important. And then during the time of radiation, the key for me was skincare during that period, because radiation burns your skin.
It does.
And there were some doctors that I interviewed who weren't going to allow me to use any kind of skincare whatsoever. I ran as fast as I could away from those doctors. But I used, a whole list of things that were right for me. And you can see right now, like, my skin is even. I was told, like, you will probably have a brown patch. It will always be tan. You might have second and third degree burns, all this.
Wow.
I've seen in person women who have that. But because I used this regimen from the get-go,
Right.
I would go in for my treatment, and as soon as I went back to change, I put on a set of ointments and creams, and then did it later again that day, and then I did a different one at night, and then get up in the morning, shower. My skin was clear. I would go get my treatment and then start the process over again every single day for all 30 days of my treatment. And so those are some of them. I feel like everyone has, different needs.
Right.
And so it's good to investigate, what options are good for you. Because I don't feel like everyone will always, have the same symptoms that I did, or the same side effects, and that sort of thing. And that's where the self-advocacy comes in.
Right.
I'm not saying I necessarily have a prescription for what will work for everyone. What I'm saying is find what does work for you and go for that. Find the doctors who support that.
Right.
And then that's where I think that's where the magic happens.
And that's the message of your book. That's what I got out of it. That, find what works for you. If something doesn't work, it is okay to say, this doctor is not working for me. It is. Oh, that's right. Get the book. It is okay to say, this treatment is not working for me. I need to find something that does. And I tell you, is it a book of joy? You are a walking, breathing miracle that we get to talk to. And
Thank you so much.
I love it. I absolutely love the book. And I encourage our listeners and our viewers to really get this one. I think that it would really help you. And if you don't know, if you yourself not diagnosed with anything, if you know somebody, give them this book, because it really, really will help them. Can you tell our listeners and our viewers how they can get in touch with you and how they could get the book?
Of course. Yes. So to get in touch with me, I have a website. It's erikawolf.com. So it's Erika with a K, ERIKA, middle initial K, Wolf, WOLF.com. And from there, you can read more about me, sort of what I do professionally, a little bit more about me personally. You can also connect with me on all my socials. And then also you can send me an email and connect with me on events, because I do speaking engagements, I do book signings. And then as far as getting the book, you can also click the link from there to go to Amazon. But it's also just available on Amazon, Cancer, and other things I'm grateful for. And it'll pop up. And that's probably the best place to go.
Are you working on anything else?
You know what? You're not the first person that asked me that. And
maybe you won't be the last.
That's true. I have a lot of ideas now.
Okay.
I've always been a writer. It's always been part of my job, but this is my first book. And since publishing this and knowing how the publishing process works and feeling like it's not out of reach anymore,
Mhm.
I think, yes, I think I will write some other things. I've got some
Good.
ideas brewing. So.
Good for you. Good for you. One thing I did want to mention, you do talk about being an advocate, and you mentioned in the book how frustrated you were with the medical profession, and I think this is important to note that it didn't offer the holistic piece for everything. They may have talked to you, but they didn't offer anything for the family. And you just mentioned that, and I thought that was very powerful because I too didn't feel much support. When my mom got her diagnosis, and it was just deal with it.
Yeah.
And I just would love to see something done in the medical profession just for everybody. Just offer a little something. If it's nothing but a pamphlet, your mom has been diagnosed with cancer now, something. Something. So
Yeah.
I really appreciated your book in a lot of different ways, and I thank you. I thank you for putting yourself out there, telling your story.
Right.
Your transparency, it comes across in this book, and it's just a beautiful representation of you. And now meeting you is just the icing on the cake for me. So thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. That's so wonderful. I appreciate all of that.
You're welcome.
Erica, if there is something that you would like to leave with our listeners and viewers tonight, and Wanda, thank you for joining. I forgot to mention you coming in tonight. But if there is something that you would like to leave our listeners and viewers with, what would it be? What would you like for them to walk away knowing?
I would like people to know that there's that they are smarter than they think they are. I think that so many patients rely on doctors to tell them, for nurses to tell them, for their family to tell them, but turn inward and trust yourself, because you have the knowledge either in your mind, or you feel it in your heart, or you feel it in your gut, or wherever it is that really you feel this. It's there, and trust it. Trust yourself.
Trust yourself. I can't think of two better words to use to end this program tonight. Trust yourself.
Amen.
Erica, thank you so much. This has been just it has been a joy on a tough topic. It has been a joy on a tough topic to be able to listen to how you navigated all of this, and the just the nuggets that you gave us along the way that are life nuggets, not just holistic health nuggets, but just life nuggets. And you heard it here first, guys. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. You are stronger than you think. Trust yourself. Thank you so much. Again, I appreciate you. The journey that you've been through was not an easy one, but I tell you what, you are a beautiful lady, and we thank you for being able to and willing to and choosing to share your story.
Amen.
Awesome. Awesome. Ruth, you want to tell everybody where they can find us and all that good stuff that I always forget we got?
Absolutely. So if you would like to be a guest on our show, if you have any questions, comments, you can email us at authorsup@gmail.com. We are also on social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, on YouTube. Just look for Authors Up Show and you will find us. So please follow us, subscribe, or, just be there with us.
And last but not least, get the book.
Get the book. Yes.
That's it for us for tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in. You know where to find us. Ruth has given you all the instructions. And know that we will be right back here next Sunday night at 7 p.m. We have another exciting guest for you with a great book, and we're going to be happy to share that. But I tell you, whew, trust yourself. I'm gonna leave it right there because I'll go off on a whole nother road. But thank you everybody for being here, and come on back next week and see, because you never ever know what's going to happen on Authors Up. So, having you join us. So that's it for tonight. Good night, Ruth. Good night, Victoria.
Good night. Good night, Bronze Girls. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.